we would also want to be able to write a system of linear inequalities given a graph that describes the shaded region. And we're going to know the boundary equations, such as in this example, x minus 2y equals -2 and x plus 2y equals 6. So we're looking for the boundary lines around this shaded orange region. First thing, the best way to start is to get your equations in slope-intercept form. We can do that by subtracting x from both sides and dividing both sides by -2. That would give us y equal 1/2 x plus 1 in the first equation. And then in the second equation, we'll also be subtracting x from both sides and dividing both sides by a +2. And that gives us y equals -1/2 x plus 3. Now that we've done that, we want to determine whether we need to use a less than sign or a greater than sign. And we do that by determining if the shaded region is above or below our boundary line. If we start with y equal 1/2 x plus 1, that's this line right here, is the orange region above or below that line? Well, of course, it's below the line, so that means we're going to use less than or equal to because the line is solid. So our first linear inequality is y less than or equal to 1/2 x plus 1. And WebAssign may want you to write that in standard form. If it does, you would need to put that back in standard form by undoing what we just did, subtracting 1/2 x from both sides. And then getting the x term to be a positive whole number, in other words, which is done by multiplying everything by a -2. And when we multiply by a -2, we multiply by a negative at all, we need to switch the sign from less than or equal to greater than or equal to. And then looking at the second equation, y equal -1/2 x plus 3, which is this line here. Again, you're asking, is the orange region above or below this line? Well, it's below that line as well, so that would be y less than or equal to -1/2 x plus 3. And again, if you need to put this in standard form, you would add 1/2 x to both sides. And the x term needs to be a positive whole number, so we would multiply everything by 2 to make the number in front of x to be 1. So it would be x plus 2y less than 1. So those are the inequalities of those two boundary lines. But notice that the orange region does not keep going. It stops at the x-axis and at the y-axis. So it's also bounded by those two axes. And the equation for the x-axis is y equals 0. Okay, but the orange region is above y equals 0, so we would write that as y greater than or equal to 0. And then the y-axis is x equals 0. And the orange region, we can't think of it in terms of up and down, we need to think of it in terms of left and right. The orange region is to the right of x equals 0. Right is greater than, so we write that as x greater than or equal to 0. So our system of linear equation consists of 4 equations, 4 inequalities. X minus 2y greater than or equal to -2 and x plus 2y less